Hello all, and welcome to another episode of Social Psychology Explained. Today we're going to look at Disgust Toward Interracial Couples, Mixed Feelings About Black-White Race Mixing by Watanabe and Laurent. It was published in the July 2021 issue of Social Psychological and Personality Science. As always, if you'd like to read the paper for yourself, check the description down below for a citation and link. If you, kind viewer, would like to help this channel appease the algorithm gnomes, you can do so by liking and sharing this video, leaving a comment down below, and subscribing to the channel. In case you're unaware, 55 years ago it was illegal in a number of US states for blacks to marry whites. And even though all 50 states have removed laws forbidding interracial marriage, prejudice still remains against mixed-race pairings. For example, in 2019, an event hall in Mississippi refused to host a mixed-race wedding. A number of studies have even found that both whites and people of color have negative perceptions of mixed-race couples. These studies have found that mixed-race couples are perceived with less warmth and more feelings of disgust. They have also been found to be perceived as less family-like. And since negative partner experiences can affect individual health and relationship quality, interracial couples may face unique challenges since they may be discriminated against as a unit beyond what they experience as individuals. This paper, thus, sought to further examine through the use of true experiments whether interracial couples do in fact elicit feelings of disgust from both whites and people of color. The authors were particularly interested in disgust due to the pathogen avoidance account. This theory posits that disgust is an evolved emotion to facilitate disease avoidance. This advantageous outcome, then, prompts strategic decision-making regarding which moral rules to endorse or resist. Notably, these feelings of disgust can extend into stigmatizing others whose behavior is perceived to threaten the health and well-being of the group as a whole. Within this framework, interracial couples might present a violation or contamination of one's in-group as defined by race or ethnicity. Study 1 was conducted using Amazon's Mechanical Turk, a platform that connects researchers with willing participants who are compensated for their efforts. The baseline rate is about 10 cents per minute the survey is expected to take. Based on an a priori power analysis, the authors determined that they needed to recruit 200 participants to detect a small within-persons effect. They managed to over-recruit and get 211 participants, though one was excluded for completing the survey in suspiciously little time. To measure disgust, participants were shown target images of mixed-race and same-race couples, and beneath these photos was a photo of a woman showing open-mouthed disgust. Participants were asked how much this photo represented their feelings about the image. All target images were grayscale photos that clearly showed the two individuals as a couple. Participants then completed another 22 items which also showed a target image. Upon viewing these images, they were asked, how disgusted/grossed out/repulsed/nauseated do you feel? To mask their hypotheses, filler items were included which asked about other emotions. All the analyses going forward were conducted using multi-level models, which are linear models that account for the fact that, in this case, participants were giving ratings for both mixed-race and same-race couples. As such, the data is clustered as ratings within persons. You want to learn more about multi-level models, I've linked a lecture on it in the cards. And now results. This graph is my own creation based on information in the paper. All error bars are 95% confidence intervals of the mean. The good news is that disgust ratings across the board were quite low. Overall disgust ratings were higher for black male, white female couples, and white male, black female couples, than for white couples and black couples. Ratings of disgust for black male, white female couples and white male, black female couples did not significantly differ. Since Study 1 used more explicit methods to measure disgust, the authors wanted to use more implicit and behavioral methods for Studies 2 and 3. Implicit measures can be extremely useful when you're worried about people not responding honestly because they want to appear socially desirable. In Study 2, participants were shown target images for 40 milliseconds, then had to instinctively evaluate whether it was disgusting or not. The masks that are listed in this diagram are there to prevent the participants' eyes from seeing any after images following the reveal. These images could be disgusting, control, or of a same-race couple or a mixed-race couple. In total, each participant completed 2 blocks of 64 trials. Each block consisted of 8 images of white couples, 8 images of black couples, 8 images of white male, black female couples, 8 images of black male, white female couples, 16 disgust images, and 16 control images. Responses were coded as hits if the participant selected disgusting for a disgusting image, and misses if the participant selected not disgusting for a disgusting image. When participants responded disgusting to a couple image or a control image, the response was coded as a false alarm. And when participants responded not disgusting to a couple or control image, the response was coded as a correct rejection. For this study, Watanabe and Laurent recruited 96 undergraduates with normal or corrected to normal vision and no color blindness. In addition to the image identification task, participants completed a disgust sensitivity measure, which examines exactly what you'd expect. The authors used the core and contamination subscales, which consist of 12 items and 5 items respectively. Here, we see a race of target couple by disgust sensitivity interaction, such that when the target couple was black or white, disgust sensitivity had no predictive power for labeling the couple as disgusting. However, when the target was a mixed race couple, higher disgust sensitivity was associated with an increased likelihood of labeling the couple as disgusting. In other words, the more sensitive people are to feelings of disgust, the more likely they are to label mixed race couples, but not same race couples, as disgusting. On to study 3. In this study, they recruited another 98 undergraduates and had them complete what essentially amounts to a variant of an implicit association test. For those unfamiliar, implicit association tests, or IATs, are tests in which you are asked to classify certain categories as good or bad. The theory is that when you're asked to label a thing as contrary to what you implicitly believe, you will be less accurate and slower than when you're asked to label a thing as in line with your implicit beliefs. To use a silly example, if you find mushrooms yucky, you will be slower to label mushrooms as delicious than when you will be to label mushrooms as gross. The big advantages of IATs are that they are relatively easy to administer and have standard procedures for analyzing the data they produce. The theory is also fairly intuitive. The problem is that IATs have serious test-retest reliability problems. In other words, if you test someone on one day, they may get a very different score on the next day. They also aren't anywhere near as predictive of downstream behavior as we would like them to be. That said, let's move on. Before the IAT, participants completed the sexual disgust subscale of the 3-domain disgust scale, which again measures exactly what you'd expect. It consists of 9 items rated on a 7-point interval scale. Now here you see an example slide from what the authors call the supraliminal image classification task. In other words, an IAT. They used 48 color photos of couples from a previous study. I will note as an aside that coming up with good photos for this kind of research is an incredibly difficult process, as well as 33 control and 49 disgust images. Now in this trial, a participant is shown a photo of a mixed-race couple alongside a disgust photo. They are then prompted to select No here. In other trials, the target image might be of an all-white couple, an all-black couple, or a white male, black female couple. The distractor image might also be a landscape. And in other trials, the arrow might be red, and thus the participant has to respond, yes, this image is not disgusting. And now results. As you might expect, response time was slower for trials with a control couple image duo compared to a disgust couple image combo. Response time was also slower for red arrow trials than for green arrow trials. These results show that the manipulations designed to keep responders honest did what they were supposed to do. As such, the authors controlled for these trial differences in their models. When comparing white versus interracial couples, some interesting and some frustrating results were found. In line with hypotheses, when paired with control images, mean reaction time was longer when viewing interracial couples than white couples. However, there was a marginally non-significant interaction such that this difference was diminished when the couple image was paired with a disgust image. And the aforementioned differences increased in severity as sexual disgust sensitivity increased. In other words, individuals who are more sensitive to sexual disgust took far longer to say that the mixed-race couple image was not disgusting than the white couple image, when compared to participants who are not particularly sensitive to sexual disgust. When looking at images of black couples, no significant effects were found, which could suggest that all black couples might lie somewhere in between white couples and interracial couples in terms of eliciting disgust responses, though we really don't have any evidence to say whether that is the case or not. So in sum, I think we can say that the evidence presented in this paper suggests that while most people don't seem to have any problem with interracial couples, some, especially those who are highly sensitive to disgust, do feel more disgust when they see interracial couples than when they see same-race couples. However, this paper only looked at heterosexual black-white pairings. I wonder if you might see similar effects if you had other mixed-race pairings. It'd be interesting if you did see similar findings when looking at, say, Latino white couples or East Asian black couples. It'd also be interesting if you didn't see significant results there. Maybe there's something particular in this country concerning black-white mixed-race pairings. I'd also be interested to see how LGBTQ+ prejudice might intersect with these findings of racial prejudice. Are feelings of disgust exaggerated for same-gender couples? Or maybe disgust towards the LGBTQ+ community overrides this difference, and thus individuals who find mixed race and LGBTQ+ relationships disgusting might see all LGBTQ pairings, regardless of race, as equally disgusting. Well, that's all for today. If you've got a paper you'd like me to look at next, or more thoughts on this one, let me know in the comments down below.